just placing our sit bones into the mat, sitting cross-legged, really evening ourselves out. So from here, I want you to take a deep breath in, reach up, and grab all the positive energy in the room, and bring it down to your third eye or to your forehead. I'd like you to set an intention for your class today. So what brought you here today to this class? How do you want to feel when the class is over? So this can be one word: peaceful, calm, healthy. And with your intention for the class, I want you to repeat this intention in each pose. Just reminding yourself of why you came today. Taking that intention and placing it into your heart center. Locking it in. And this will guide you through your practice today. Take a deep breath, reach up. Big inhale, grabbing all that positive energy, placing it into your heart. Again, take a deep inhale, reach up, and placing it into your heart. One last time, reach up, grabbing all that positive energy and placing it into your heart center. Reaching up one last time. This time we're going to drop our right hand down to the right side, and we're going to slowly lower, leaving our left hand up. Stretching out our rib cage, creating space between each rib. Our inhales expand our rib cage. Our exhales lower us closer to the mat. Creating even breaths here. Our inhales are the same length as our exhales. And inhaling, coming back up, hands meet at the top. And exhaling, dropping our left hand down and leaning towards the left. Again, stretching out between each rib, creating space in our rib cage for our organs, for our lungs, for our liver, for our gallbladder. Again, our inhales are the same length as our exhales. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to lower. On your next inhale, coming back up. Both arms meet at the top. This time your left hand comes behind you. Right hand comes behind you. Right wrist to your bottom. Left hand comes to your right knee. We're going to slowly twist, looking over our right shoulder. Our inhales lengthen our spine, and our exhales twist us a little further. Again, I don't want you pulling and trying to force yourself to twist. Just let your breath do the work. Stop when you feel resistance. Our twists are cleansing postures. Our organs don't have muscles, so we rely on the muscles surrounding them to twist, squeeze out the toxins. And releasing the pose, coming back to center. Inhale, reach up, big inhale. Exhale, dropping the left hand behind you. Right hand comes to left knee, and again, slowly twisting and looking over that left shoulder behind you. Inhales, lengthening spine, and exhales, twisting. reach up. And exhale, slowly start to bend forward. When you feel that you've reached your limit, drop your hands. Dropping the head. Then just taking some deep breaths here, relaxing into the posture. Again, we're not pulling ourselves towards the floor, we're just letting gravity do the work here. You should feel this in your hips, in the back of your hamstrings, maybe in your lower back. Again, inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to lower you closer to the floor. Everyone will be different. Every range of motion is different. Just honoring that. Honor your body. Deep, even breaths. And slowly sliding your hands back, rolling back up. And we're just going to switch our front foot. So opposite foot comes forward, still seated in a cross-legged position. Taking our hands, reach up, inhale. Again, exhale, fold forward. Stopping when you feel resistance and dropping the arms. Again, inhales, lengthen the spine. And exhales, using gravity to lower. I feel more of a pull on the opposite side. One side may feel different than the other. Again, just acknowledge that. If this is in your practice, you may wish to stay longer on the side that you feel more of a pull on, just to balance everything out. With each exhale, we slowly lower closer to the ground. Just relaxing into the pose. Your muscles shouldn't be tense. And slowly coming back up, sliding the hands, straightening the spine. Now your front foot is going to come out straight in front of you. Opposite foot will stay behind, so the bottom of your foot touching your thigh or your leg, as close as you can get. From here we're going to reach up, inhale, then exhale, folding towards the extended leg, dropping the hands when you've reached your limit. And again, not pulling our bodies towards our leg, but just letting gravity do the work. This pose will look different for each person, and that's okay. switching feet. Extended leg comes in, bent leg comes out. Taking a deep inhale, reach up. And exhale, bending towards your extended leg, dropping the arms when you've reached your limit. Your inhales extend the spine, and your exhales lower your body towards your leg. On the next inhale, slowly rolling back up, straightening the spine, coming into butterfly pose, so the bottoms of our feet meet, knees come wide. So in butterfly pose, the closer your heels are to your body, the more you're going to feel this stretch. If you need a break, you need to release. If you're feeling any discomfort, just move your heels away from your body. So we're going to do a hip opener along with a heart opener. So just placing our wrists behind us, fingertips pointing towards the back wall, opening up the chest, opening up the heart, opening up the hips. Now staying here, if this is enough for you. This is still a hip and heart opener. You're still going to get benefits from this pose. If you'd like to take it to the next level, pushing the feet into the ground, lifting your bum up off the mat, opening the chest more, and the head comes back looking at the ceiling. Again, staying here if this is where you're comfortable. Our heart opening poses are very vulnerable poses. We don't tend to show our hearts often in life. We usually sit hunched over. And so it's not only the physical pose, but exposing our heart to the world, saying, this is who I am. Here I am, ready to accept love, ready to give love. This is me. Just coming to our natural breath. Good. And coming back to a seated position. Still in butterfly pose. We're just going to take our arms, reach up, take a deep inhale. And again, folding forward. So this is quite a stretch. Again, dropping your hands when you feel resistance. Moving the feet if you're feeling any discomfort whatsoever. Moving the heels away from the body. And just letting gravity do the work. We're just going to rock forward. However you get there, coming into a tabletop position. So moving, facing the end of our mat, stacking our joints. Our elbows are above our wrists, and our elbows are directly underneath our shoulders, knees under hips. And we're just going to do some cat-cows here. So inhaling deep, filling the belly with air, dropping the belly, head and tail come to the sky, and blowing out all that stale air, tucking the pelvis, tucking the head, and just going with your natural breath here. So cow, inhale, and cat, exhale. Thinking of your body like an accordion, extending the accordion, fills it with air. And contracting the accordion, lets the air all out. Just keep moving here with your own natural breath at your own pace. Again, this will look different for everybody. On your next inhale, coming to neutral, flat back tabletop. So we're going to extend the right arm out to the side, and we're going to thread the needle. So we're just going to bring our right hand under our left until our shoulder meets the floor. I'll turn so that you can see it. So you can stay here, or you can bring your left arm out in front of you. Again, staying here. If you want to take this pose to the next level, you can bring your left foot out to the side as a kickstand and roll back just a little bit further on your shoulder. Again, just honoring your natural breath. Breathing into the pose. Noticing where you feel any tension. And if your leg is in the kickstand position, tucking it back in, bringing the left hand under your shoulder, coming back up, again into a tabletop position. And we're going to do this on the opposite side this time, so left hand comes out to the side, threading the needle under the right arm, coming down onto our left shoulder. Staying here or extending the right arm out. This is a good shoulder stretch. Again, if you'd like to take this to the next level, kickstand the right leg out to the side and roll back onto that left shoulder just a little bit more. Breathing into the pose. back in. Bringing that right hand underneath the right shoulder and coming back up into tabletop position. So from here, we're going to extend our right foot out behind us and just press our toes into the mat and lean back. So you should feel this in your calves, up the back of your hamstrings. And again, for many people, this is enough of a stretch here. So just honor your body, stay here if this is enough of a stretch for you. Otherwise, you can bend the knee. You'll feel this more in your glute, in your hamstring. Staying here. To take this to the next level, you can reach back with your right hand, grabbing, if you can, grabbing your right ankle, and coming into a modified dancer's pose. So these are the variations. So otherwise, you're here, or just pushing back into the toes. You're still getting a great stretch in all modifications. And whichever pose you're in, just releasing, coming back into tabletop position. This time stepping the left leg back, pushing back into the toes, feeling that stretch in the calf, in the hamstring, and just breathing into the pose. Again, you don't want to lock your knee back, keeping a slight bend in the knee. So staying here, if this is where you're comfortable. Otherwise, bending the knee, keeping that thigh parallel with the body. Otherwise, reaching back, grabbing your left ankle with your left hand, coming into modified dancers, looking straight ahead. And whichever variation you're in, just releasing out of the pose and coming back into tabletop. So from here, we're going to bring our big toes together, coming into a wide-legged child's pose. So knees come to the edge of your mat. And we're just going to push back with our hands, bringing our bums as close as we can to our heels. They don't have to meet. And then sliding our hands forward and just resting our heads on the mat. Now if this is hard on your shoulders, you can always bring your arms alongside you back like this. So this is our first inversion. So any pose where your head is lower than your heart will be an inversion. So if at any point in the practice you feel you need a break, you need a rest, always feel free to come back to child's pose. Child's pose is also a modification for downward facing dog. So if at any point you're in downward facing dog, you are always welcome to take a child's pose. And bringing your hands, placing them underneath your shoulders, pushing up into a tabletop position. Again, you can come into another child's pose here. Otherwise, tucking the toes, we're going to come into our first downward dog. So leaning forward, lifting the knees off of the mat, pushing back, straightening our legs. Again, this is our first downward dog of the day. So our heels may not come down to the mat. They may never come down to the mat, and that's perfectly fine. So just pushing away, the mat away from you with your hands. There should be no tension whatsoever in your neck, in your shoulders. You should be able to nod your head yes and shake your head no. So just stretching out the legs, walking the dog here, lifting one heel and then the other. Just preparing our muscles for our practice. And taking a deep inhale here. Big sigh, letting out. Again, deep inhale. Big sigh, letting it out. And whatever position you're in, if you're in a child's pose, you're going to come back up to tabletop position. If you're in a downward facing dog, we're just going to walk our feet between our hands, coming into a forward fold. So however you're comfortable, you can bend your knees and keep them bent. Your hands do not need to meet the mat. If you'd like to play around with this pose, you can slowly start to straighten your legs. But again, listening to your body, honoring your body. You don't want any pain. So whichever forward fold position you're in, knees bent or knees straight, we're just going to lengthen our spine, stretching out the spine using gravity. So if you're comfortable here, you can try to grab each elbow with opposite hands, lowering the head and just letting the weight of your head and the weight of your arms lengthen your spine, creating space between each vertebrae. Taking deep, even breaths, letting that oxygenated blood to your brain. And dropping your hands to the mat or to your legs, wherever you can reach. Coming into a halfway lift, so hands come to your shins, flat back, facing your mat, neck is happy. Halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold, coming back down, meeting the mat if you can. Going to reverse swan dive, coming up to a standing position. Otherwise, hands come to hips. Coming up halfway, and then slowly coming up the rest of the way to a stand. Taking a deep inhale, reach up, collecting all the positive energy, palms meet, hands come down to heart center. From here, extending that hands down, we're going to come into rock star or mountain pose. So I want you to lift all 10 toes off of the mat and then push them down into the mat, really rooting your feet into the earth. We call this mountain pose. We are solid as a mountain. Every one of our muscles will be activated. Moving up our legs, coming to our knees, lifting the kneecaps and activating our thigh muscles. Tucking the pelvis, coming to a neutral position. We're going to activate our abdominal muscles. We're going to take a deep breath in. The shoulders come up, back, and down. Spreading the fingers and pushing them towards the earth. Creating space between our chest and our chin. Top of the head reaches to the sky, just like a mountain. Every muscle in our body is now active. We're creating heat throughout our body. And from here, inhale, we're going to come into a chair pose. So as if there's a chair behind us, we're just going to sit back. our knees should be behind our toes. You should be able to see your toes. Again, our feet are rooted into the earth, and our hands can come to heart center from here. Again, to take it to the next step, you can raise your arms, bringing them up overhead. If you feel any discomfort, you can always come up and out of the pose to challenge yourself, sinking deeper into the pose. Noticing the discomfort and how we deal with it. Do we just want it to end? Do we want to stop? Just acknowledging that and how we deal with discomfort in our lives. Hands coming to heart center. Keeping our knees bent, lowering into a forward fold. Staying here for a moment. Inhaling, halfway lift. Hands come to your shins, flatten out that back. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees as much as you need. Inhale, stepping back, high plank or dropping the knees. Chaturanga, low plank. So slowly lowering down our chest to the mat. So we're going to come into our first back bend. And again, this will look different for everybody. Everyone's range of motion is different. So that may mean for you, just lifting your head up off the mat. And maybe that's as far as you go today. Our next variation is Sphinx pose. So we're just going to bring our elbows directly underneath our shoulders. Our fingertips point straight out in front of us like the Sphinx. Neck is neutral, looking straight ahead. Again, this may be where you stay, and that's perfectly fine. The next modification here is sliding your hands underneath your shoulders, coming into Cobra, staying where you're comfortable, keeping our elbows tucked into our ribs, and only coming up as far as you're comfortable. Again, this looks different for every body. The final variation is upward facing dog. So tucking the toes, you're going to push up onto your arms, lifting your thighs off of the mat, and balancing up on your arms. Again, neck is neutral, facing forward. So whichever variation you're most comfortable with, certainly stay there, honoring your body. So wherever you are, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, pushing back into child's pose or downward facing dog. And if you're in child's pose, coming into tabletop, step, hop, or jump to the front of your mat, coming into forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, hands come to the shins, flat back, looking down. Exhaling down, forward fold. Now reverse swan dive, coming all the way up, otherwise hands come to the hips. Coming up halfway, flat back, and slowly rolling up the rest of the way. And meeting me at the top of your mat. Going to inhale, chair pose again. Hands are at heart center or coming up. Exhaling down, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Hands come to your shins, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Stepping back, high plank, dropping the knees if you need. and chaturanga, low plank, slowly lowering down your chest to the mat. Coming into your back bend, sphinx, cobra, or upward facing dog. And pushing back, child's pose or downward facing dog. Take a couple minutes here just to catch your breath, relaxing into the pose. Coming up into a tabletop, otherwise if you're in a downward facing dog, either way you're going to lift your right leg out behind you, swing it through, foot comes between your hands. So just staying here, we're going to go into a warrior one. So staying here, this is enough of a stretch for you, into a runner's lunge. Otherwise, using your front leg to push yourself up, you'll come into a modified warrior one. So your hands can come up. Warrior one with your back leg extended. Back foot comes to a 45-degree angle and pushing up. Again, hands can come to heart center or coming straight up. Biceps at your ears. Dropping the back knee if you need. Hands can come to heart center as well. These are your modifications. Exhaling down, warrior two. So same hand as foot comes out in front of you. Our chest is now facing the side of the mat and looking over our front arm. Modified, back knee can come down. If this is hard on the shoulders, dropping the hands to the hips. So clasping the hands behind the back. If this is too much on your front leg, always feel free at any time to straighten that front leg. Just relaxing, coming back down underneath. So clasping the hands behind the back, pushing our hands towards the mat and opening the chest up, looking up towards the sky. Modified, back knee down. Facing our front leg and bending towards that front leg. This is humble warrior. Again, staying here if this is enough of a stretch for you. Otherwise, arms can come to the sky. Again, if you can't quite meet your hands together, you can always use your scarf or band if you want to attempt hands to the sky, but you just can't quite reach. This is a great way to start. And coming back up into warrior two. This is the modified warrior two. Flipping our front palm to face the ceiling. We're going to keep our hips where they are and slide our shoulders forward and then dance it back for peaceful warrior. Back arm slides down to your back leg. Modified, back leg down. Reaching for that back foot. And coming back up into a warrior two. Bending that front arm, the elbow. Front elbow comes to front knee for extended side angle. This is modified with our back knee down. This is what it looks like with your back leg up. Creating a diagonal line between your back foot and your extended arm. And coming back up, warrior two. Again, back knee down. And whichever position you're in, cartwheeling the hands down or framing the foot. And stepping back either to high plank or tabletop position. Modified plank. Lowering down, chest to the mat. Taking a little rest here. Or coming up into our back bend. Sphinx, cobra, or upward facing dog. Again, pushing back, hands come under the shoulders, pushing back into child's pose or downward facing dog. If you're in child's pose, coming into tabletop, your left leg comes out behind you this time. If you're in downward facing dog, bending the knee, and swinging your left foot between your hands. Coming into warrior one, or staying here in your lunge. Pivoting the back foot if you want to come into a full warrior one. Back foot comes to a 45-degree angle, pushing up onto our front knee. Again, hands stay at the hips, come to heart center, or come straight up, biceps by our ears, shoulders are relaxed, hands to the sky. Warrior two, chest faces the front of the room. Left hand is extended over the left front knee. Right arm is extended behind you. Dropping that back knee if you need a break for modified warrior two. Clasping our hands behind our back. You can use your band here as well if you can't quite clasp your hands together. Leaning towards your bent knee, coming into humble warrior. Variation with the back leg up. And if available to you, lifting your arms up. Releasing the arms, coming back down. Pushing up, warrior two. Flipping the front palm, dancing the shoulders forward, and dancing it back. Back arm slides down the back leg, reaching back with your left arm, peaceful warrior, dropping the back knee if you need, and reaching for that foot. Coming back, warrior two. Bending our left elbow comes to left knee. Reaching, making a diagonal line, extended side angle. This is the variation with our back leg up, creating a diagonal line between the tips of our fingers and our leg. Coming back up, warrior two. Modified with the knee down. Cartwheeling the hands, framing the foot. Stepping back, high plank or tabletop. Chaturanga, lower down, low plank. Meeting the mat. Coming into our back bend. Sphinx, cobra, or upward facing dog. Hands come under our shoulders and pushing back into child's pose or downward facing dog. Taking a deep breath and sighing it out. Take another deep breath in and sigh it out. And whichever version you're in, if you're in then downward facing dog. We're just going to walk our hands back to meet our feet. So if you're in child's pose, coming into tabletop, tucking the toes, lifting the knees. We're just going to walk our hands back to meet our feet. So coming into a forward fold, bending your knees as much as you need to here. We're going to come into a gorilla pose, taking our toes and meeting our wrists, lifting our toes, fingertips come to our heels. So we're standing on our hands. Again, gorilla pose can look like this if you can't quite straighten your knees. But just play around here, seeing how much you can straighten your knees. The point of this pose is to really stretch out those back muscles, stretch out the arm muscles. Again, there should be no tension in the neck, no tension in the shoulders. You should be able to nod your head yes, shake it no. And just really stepping into the hands and pulling up. Feeling that stretch in your arms. However that looks for you. Just taking a moment here just to catch our breath. Lifting your toes, releasing your hands. Now you can come into a crow pose if that's in your practice here. Modification for crow. We're going to come into a rabbit pose. So coming into a tabletop position and pushing back into a child's pose. Hands come back to meet your ankles. Coming up onto the top of your head, staying in child's pose if this isn't available to you. Tucking the toes and holding onto the ankles for rabbit. So this is an alternative to a headstand, to a crow pose. Again, staying here or coming into child's pose. For those that would like to try a crow pose, so just rooting your hands into the mat, coming onto your tiptoes, walking them forward. You're going to be balancing your knees on your triceps. So again, this is one of those fun poses that you can work on a little bit every practice. I don't know many people that get it the first time, but there certainly are people that do. Took me quite a few tries before I was able to get it. So just leaning forward on your hands and balancing your knees on your triceps and bending the elbows so that you should feel really strong within your arms and your shoulders. And from here, just alternating, lifting one toe and lifting the other. And this is where you begin. Lifting one, balancing, lifting the other. And just playing around here with your balance. So again, you can stay in rabbit, you can stay in child's pose. Otherwise, you can try to come up and balance on your hands, lifting both feet at the same time. That's the ultimate goal for crow pose. And it's just a fun pose to just, work on every week. So from here, widen your knees, coming back into a wide-legged child's pose, meeting everyone who is already in child's pose. And taking some breaths here. Coming back up into tabletop position. Tucking the toes, pushing back into a downward facing dog. Or staying in tabletop if that's not available to you. And coming to the front of your mat, step, hop, or jump if you're in tabletop. Just stepping to the front of your mat, coming into a forward fold. Hands come to the shins, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, reach up. Coming to a stand. Hands coming to heart center. Good. Just taking a break here. You can go and grab some water. We're going to come back and start our cool down. Hope everybody's doing well. If you have any questions, let me know. So just meeting me back on your mats. We're going to bring our feet into a wide-legged stance. Feet are sort of at a 45-degree angle. We're just going to slowly lower down to a seated position, coming into Malasana. So hands coming to your heart center. Start to slowly lower down to the mat, however you need to get there. Come into your bottom, otherwise coming into the birthing position, opening your knees with your elbows, hands at heart center, really pushing into your palms, and slowly lowering to the ground. Good. Swinging our legs around, coming lengthways on our mat, coming up onto our tippy toes. Hands coming out, coming into boat pose. So feet are here. If you want more of a challenge, lifting our feet and slowly lowering back. Backs on the mat. And relaxing. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Again, deep breath in, deep breath out. Coming into our Shavasana. So just getting anything that you're going to need to be comfortable, a blanket, a pillow, dimming the lights, placing something over your eyes to block out the light, block out the noise. Just getting as comfortable as you possibly can. Feet are flopping to either side. Just relaxing your body, sinking into your mat. Our breath is coming back to our natural breathing rhythm. Knowing that there's nowhere else you need to be. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Carving out this time for yourself. Fill your cup so that you can fill others. I want you to imagine the place where you feel the most safe, the most loved, the place where if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, this is the place you choose to be. want you to think about what you see in your place. Perhaps it's the ocean lapping against the shore. Maybe it's palm trees, a meadow, the spring flowers. Maybe it's curled up with the person that you love. The temperature in your place is perfect. Your body is relaxed. You feel loved. You feel safe. What do you hear? Do you hear the lapping of the waves meeting the shore? The wind rustling through the palm trees? Maybe you hear the buzzing of the bees and the wildflowers, the bristling of the grass. Maybe you hear the soft breath and heartbeat of the person laying beside you. And what do you smell? Is it sea salt air? Do you smell the wildflowers? Maybe it's the scent of a loved one. And I just want you to know that this place is always available to you. Whether you're at work, passenger in a vehicle, standing in your kitchen. If you ever need a safe place, a place to feel loved, know that you just need to close your eyes and you're able to come back here at any time. Just spending some time here now. Releasing the endorphins as if we are actually in this place. Calming our breath. Calming our mind. And bringing awareness back to the room. Begin to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Rolling the wrists and rolling the ankles. And when you're ready, rolling onto your side, coming into the fetal position. Shavasana is also known as corpse pose. Represents the death after our journey, which is why we follow corpse pose with the fetal position, representing a new life, a new being, coming back into the world with changed eyes, changed heart, and a changed mind. With your eyes closed or a slight gaze, pushing up into a seated position, sitting cross-legged on your mat. Take a deep breath, reach up, grabbing all the positive energy in the universe and placing it in your third eye to only think positive thoughts. Taking another deep breath, reach up, grabbing all the positive energy, placing it to your lips to only speak kind words. Again, reach up, grabbing all that positive energy, all the love and light, and placing it into your heart, moving forward with only love in your heart. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys for joining me tonight on your mat. I'd love to hear your feedback, your canine. Feel free to message me or comment.